Okay, so as we come back for break, we're gonna have I'm gonna teach some new stuff on Monday actually, but this will be part of your homework. Okay, this is just SAT problems that deal with polynomials. I thought it'd be really good for some of you to get in the habit. This is kind of what we're going to test on. This is some really good stuff. Okay, so here we go. The first one here. This one's not bad. This is pretty easy. All right. So now look, they're asking for the value of A. Look, this is X. This is Y. Number one thing I told you guys, the very thing. Most people don't forget about substitution. So I'm going to do substitution. This is your Y value. 0 equals A 3 cubed plus 3 squared minus 18 times 3 minus 9. If you do that, now you're down to one variable. Okay, 0 equals 27A plus 9 minus, now you gotta use your calculator, 54 minus 9. And then you just continue. Now you're down to one variable equation. Okay, now you're down to a one variable equation. And you should easily be able to solve. The 9's cancel. 0 equals 27A minus 54. You guys should be able to solve that from there. Okay, pretty easy problem. Okay, all right. So next way the function has x intercepts. What's the function be? So if I know x intercepts, then I can write x plus 7, x minus 5, x plus 5. Now that's the answer. But none of them look like that. So, but they all have, so it's x plus 7. So it can't be A or B. But now I have this. Well, guys, just multiply that. Multiply that. That's algebra 1. So you got to be able to do it. Now I notice, look, they're the exact same with different signs. One's positive and one's negative. So for me, the middle will cancel. So all I really got to do is multiply x times x and negative 5 times 5. And then that'll give you your answer. Okay, minimum value from negative 5 to 5. So this tells you have to be between negative 5 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's positive 5. So I have to between the red lines, the smallest value. Okay, the smallest value. Now right there. So that point is negative 3, negative 2. When we want the value, they want the Y number, the Y number. Anytime they ask you where, that's the X number. Okay, so this time they just want the value, the Y value. There you go, you got it. Okay, another one, here we go. If F has 4 distinct zeros, all right, 4 distinct zeros. So this has 2, so it can't be A. This has 2, can't be C. Now, there's some imaginary in both of those, but the distinct values, 4. So you're just looking, how many times does it cross the axis? So how many times does it cross the blue lines? And you're looking for 4. Okay, you're looking for 4. How many times does it cross the blue line? That's it. That's how you do that. Okay, this is a great one. I like these problems a lot. Complete the graph between negative 5 and which the following is true. So it's strictly decreasing from negative 5 to 0. Okay, so where's negative 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 5 is right there. 0 is right here. So is the graph going down the entire time? Okay, is the graph decreasing? Okay, so now when you look at this, that's decreasing. That's decreasing. They call this constant. It's getting flat. It's not increasing or decreasing. So it can't be 1. Negative 3, 1. Now, all that is a point, guys. That's negative 3, comma 1. So I got to look. Go to negative 3. 1, 2, 3. There it is right there. That's negative 3, 1. So that works. That's a winner. Has a minimum at x equals 5. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's 5, guys. I'll put it in red. Here's 5. Is this point a minimum? Is it the lowest point on the graph? The answer is no, because I have this point in green. This is the minimum. This is lower. This is lower than that. Okay, so it can't be 3. There you go. There's your answer. Okay, all right. When I did this one, this was probably the hardest one I did. Okay, so you got to have this is you got to know a lot of math right here. All right, so -1 and 1 are the two real roots of the polynomial. And here's my y-intercept. So now this is nice because I have x and y. So I can do substitution. So 3 equals a times 0 cubed plus b times 0 squared plus c times 0 plus d. Well, what's nice about that? That's 0, that's 0, that's 0. So 3 equals d. That's nice. So now, how does that help me? Well, I have a new equation. F of x, ax squared, ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus 3. That's just from the y-intercept. That's nice. It's easy to have. Now we got a number. Now, let's use my roots. Now, if I know I have roots, that means when I do synthetic or when I factor, I can factor them and I do a synthetic. So here's my first synthetic. So I'm going to use -1. A, B, C, 3. You're like, well, Mr. Hark, I can't do it with numbers. You can. It's adding and multiplying. You've done this your whole life. You've added and multiplied. Okay, so what do? You bring the a down, multiply, -a, add, -a plus b, multiply. That becomes +a minus b, add, becomes c minus b. I'm sorry, that's not right. That's a minus b plus c. You're adding down. Multiply. That becomes -a plus b minus c. Now, since it's a root, when I add down, that has to equal 0. So I have -a plus b minus c plus 3 equals 0. That's huge for me. Guys, that's huge. Now, I'm going to do the same thing because I know 1's a root. So a, b, c, 3. A, bring the a down, multiply. A, add a plus b, multiply. A plus b, add a plus b plus c, multiply. A plus b plus c, add. Remember, at the end here, it has to equal 0. So I have a plus b plus c plus 3 equals 0. Okay, now watch the magic. Watch the magic. I'm just going to rewrite this right below it. So -a plus b minus c plus 3 equals 0. It's the exact same equation. I just rewrote it down there. Now, when I add down, Algebra 1 tool, those cancel. B plus b is 2b. C's cancel because that's 0c plus 6 equals 0. Now solve. Solve for b, and you're done. And you're done. That is hard, guys. That is a hard problem right off the SAT. Hard problem. Now, what do you got to know? You got to be able to do y-intercept, plug it in. That gave me my d to be 3. And you got to be able to do synthetic with roots. Now, they're just variables, but it's just adding and multiplying, adding and multiplying. Okay. If you can do that problem, guys, you'll get it anytime you want it. All right. Really difficult problem. Really difficult problem. Okay. Number 2, what's the remainder of the polynomial if it's divided? So I would do synthetic here. Now, remember synthetic. So I've got 81. That's x to the 5th. 0 x to the 4th. -121 x to the 3rd. 0 x squared. 0 x minus 36. Then just do synthetic. But what makes people miss this is they forget the zeros because you need a 0 for x to the 4th, x squared, and the x term. Okay. Okay, number 3 is very similar to the one I did earlier. I'm checking if x minus 2 is a factor of the polynomial. So what? I'm just going to clean this up. Ax cubed minus 2ax plus bx squared minus 5b. Okay, so ax cubed plus bx squared minus 2ax minus 5b. Now, if it's a factor, when I do synthetic, a, b, negative 2a, negative 5b. So bring it down, multiply 2a, add 2a plus b, multiply 4a plus 2b. You have to distribute. So guys, it's 2 times 2a plus b. Add, I get 2a plus 2b. Multiply 4a plus 4b. Add, when you add that, you get 4a minus 1b equals 0. Remember, if it's a factor, this has to add at the end. It has to add to equal 0. So then there's your equation. You're done. You're done. You have your answers. Again, I'm just doing synthetic. I'm just doing synthetic. Okay, keep going. The function of the polynomial, sum of the values, which defined must be a factor. So if it's a factor, remember, of your graph, if it's a factor, it's a 0. So any point on this axis, whatever it is, negative 3, 0, negative 1, 0, 10, 0, 1,000, 0, whatever. The y value is a 0. So look here. Oh, there's my y value to 0. So this is my 0, which makes which one of these a factor? Okay. All right. So what's the real value for x? First thing I do is I try to factor. So I'll group it. Take out an x squared, x minus 8. Take out a positive 3. Always take out that sign right there. You get x minus 8. Now from here, you ask GCF. So guys, this is what we haven't done this in a while. So between the yellow and the blue, what's the greatest common factor? Oh, x minus 8. What's left? X squared plus 3 equals 0. Now I got to do math. So I come over here. X minus 8 equals 0. And x squared plus 3 equals 0. I got to solve. That's x equals 8. This is algebra 1. X squared equals negative 3. Square root. X equals plus or minus. That's a negative. So that's I, because that can be square root of negative 1 times square root of 3. Square root of negative 1 is your I times square root of 3. Okay, now that means that's 2 imaginary right there. They want the real value. So you can't put the imaginary value there. You just want the real value. Okay, 6 is kind of nasty. I wanted to do 6 and then I'll be done. Okay, first thing I do is I get it equal to 0. Now I could do synthetic and just start guessing. 1, negative 1, 2, negative 2, 3, negative 3. I could just keep guessing all my numbers. Okay, that just takes a long time. So now what I see is I see how my exponents are going down by 2's. X squared, x4, 2, 0. So watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do a little quick trick. I'm just going to rewrite this as y squared minus 8y minus 9 equals 0. So really, what did I do? I said y squared becomes x to the 4th. Okay, that's really what I did. Actually, that's not what I did. I said y equals x squared, because there's the straight substitution right there. So every time I saw x squared, I wrote y. Now, they only did that because it went 4, 2. Now, what's nice about this is easily factorable. This becomes y minus 9, y plus 1. Okay. Makes sense? That should be easy. That's great factoring. Now, I got to go back to my substitution. So instead of y, I got to write x squared minus 9. And over here, I got to write x squared plus 1 equals 0. Now I can solve. X squared minus 9 equals 0. X squared plus 1 equals 0. X squared equals 9. So x equals positive negative 3. That's good. subtract 1, x squared equals -1. Square root, x equals plus or minus I, because the square root of -1 is I. Now, that's imaginary. So now I got to answer the question. I only know x is greater than 0. So it can't be imaginary. So here, this answer is 3 and -3. So it has to be greater than 0. So my answer is 3. One answer. Okay, one answer. So that's straight off the SAT right there. 4, all right, complex. This is just distributed. You 14 times 7 so in my calculator, I'm just multiplying. So that's 98. And then I do the ends, -2 times 12. So that's -24i squared. Now I do math. Now I do that part. I do the outside. So 14 times 12, 168. So that's going to be plus 168i. And I do that, minus 14i. If I do it right, I got to combine that. So 98, okay, 168 minus 14, 154. Okay, now you got to remember what I squared is. So minus 24i squared is -1. So that becomes plus 24. 98 plus 24, 122. So that's 122 plus 154i. There's your answer. Okay. All right. So the graph of blah, 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 parabola which is equivalent. Okay. So now here, since I know the zeros, 2x minus 4 equals 0. Add 4. Divide by 2. So you get 4 over 2. So x is 2. That's 1 0. X minus 4 equals 0. X is 4. That's my 2 zeros. So now on my graph, I have a 0 at 2 and a 0 at 4. Remember, it's symmetric. Parabolas are symmetric. So that means the vertex has to be in the middle. So if I do the middle, 2 plus 4 divided by 2. Anytime you do the middle, add, divide by 2. That's 6 over 2. So the x point of the vertex is 3. Okay. So now plug 3 back into your equation to find y. So y equals 6 minus 4, 3 minus 4. That's 2 times -1. That's -2. So y is -2. There's your vertex right there. There's your vertex. Okay. 7 is easy. 7 is easy. 2 times y, which is x cubed plus 2x plus 5 plus z, x squared plus 7x plus 1. Distribute and add. Add like terms. Okay. This is another one. Function is defined where c is a constant, xy plane intersects 3 points. So right there, if I know that means when I do synthetic, I got to get a remainder of 0. So 2, 3, c, and 8. Do synthetic. 2, -8, -5, 20, add 20 plus c, multiply. That's -80 minus 4c. When you add that, that has to equal 0. And then it's an equation. You have an equation. So you have -80 minus 4c plus 8 equals 0. Algebra 1, right off the boat. Okay, right off the boat. All right, so I'll stop there. But that's how you do these ACT times problem. Look how many times we did synthetic, guys. We did synthetic a whole bunch of times. Now, if you're stuck, all right, go back. Look at how much algebra we did. This is straight algebra 1, substitution. Substitution solve. This is an algebra 1 problem, I would tell you. Algebra 1, substitute, solve. Okay, this one, you had to remember roots. So this is an algebra 2 topic. Roots get you to there. Then, but from here to the right answer is algebra 1, multiplying. Okay, this is all algebra 2. This is all algebra because minimum. Now people get confused because they think it's the x. Value is the y value. Where is the x? So if they asked you where the minimum is, then you would say -3. Okay, that's algebra 2. 4 is also all of algebra 2. You just got to understand the distinct zeros. So the zeros are where they cross the blue line. Okay. 5 is all algebra 2 as well, because that's when you start talking decreasing. Okay, also minimum. This would be big time algebra 2. This would be all algebra 2 to get you set up. But the solving at the end is algebra 1. Number 2, this is also algebra 2 because you have to understand the zeros. Algebra 2 again because it's synthetic. Okay. Factor, this is a little algebra 2 topic because you got to remember the factor is a 0. Here's factoring. That's an algebra 2 topic here. And the solving is algebra 2 because you get the I. 6 is technically an algebra 1 concept, but you do get some I's in there. So that's an algebra 2. This is all algebra 2 because of the complex number. This is, since it's a quadratic, we teach quadratics in algebra 1, but we spent a lot of time with it. So I would put a little bit in algebra 2. But you guys should be able to easily understand that. Parabolas are symmetric. So if I have 2 points even, that's how I got the 3. I just did the middle. Okay. 7 is algebra 1 because it's multiplication and adding. The 17 would be algebra 2 because of the synthetic. Now, the setup is synthetic, but the adding and multiplying is algebra 1. All right. And then we just didn't get to those. All right. If you can do this, guys, this would be big time. Being able to do this is big time.